All right, how's it going, y'all? Welcome. Hey, Pete, how's it going? All right, so yeah, today we're just gonna continue building on that trivia application that I started. I really wanted to check out TanStack Start. So far, I think this is gonna be like the second episode, but I did some coding. I did like a lot of coding in the meantime, so I'm gonna show you what I've done so far, but also at the beginning I was like confused about TanStack Start and what it is, and as a framework, how it works, how it functions. But I'm not gonna lie, it is starting to grow on me. Yeah, I'm starting to like it. I'm starting to see what it is about. Yesterday I watched a stream from Tanner. Actually, two streams I think. One was on syntax, and he talked about the framework and like what's the idea, etc. So unfortunately, I didn't get that from the docs. Like I didn't understand all of those, bits and pieces. Although of course I didn't read the whole, docs back to back. But yeah, I understood a lot of the framework and like the intentions of Tanner's intentions behind the scenes through that syntax episode. So if you're looking into getting into TanStack and you want to understand, definitely check out the syntax episodes, because yeah, it basically filled the holes that I had from the docs, right? All right, before we dive in, I'd like to show you something really cool. At Sentry we have new swag, and I'm not sure if you know Sentry swag. Not that I work at Sentry, of course. Not because I work at Sentry. I do work at Sentry, but Sentry has the coolest swag. And check this shirt out. What do you think? Full stack with two skulls, front end and back end. How cool is that? Really cool. Can't wait to wash this and then wear it. It is, yeah. We have like another metal t-shirts. This is like still the Sentry logo, but it's with with like they're not like electricity. They're like roots. I don't know, those kinds of graphics. It is pretty cool. So yeah, let's just let's look at some code now. All right, check this out. I did all of did all of the progress that I'm gonna show you now using cursor, and I find myself not knowing what I coded. So the code right here, I don't even like. I don't know the entirety of it, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna stop using cursor because it is writing the code for me, but I'd like to, it's so easy to just let it drive, right? It is so easy to just let it drive and write the code, and you just like take a back seat, let it do its thing. But in the end, you don't know the code that's in your application. So that's not what that's not cool. I don't like that. So yeah, back to NeoVim. I thought I was fully on board with React Router v7. Let's see what Yaga says. With one of my new projects, I used it in combination with your DDD approach, and it's kind of sucked in many aspects. I'm thinking of switching the architecture up a bit and using TanStack Router to see if it has less issues. Yeah, I'm not even like trying to do any architecture in this project, because I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. It's a totally new framework for me. The router it's interesting, but I'm not sure about like the limitations, where they are, etc. So yeah, the loader and action type generation stuff was a bit weird, and it had to tweak things weirdly to make it build well. As a type safe, as type safe as it promises to be. It's a bit weird with all the generating, etc. And you're referring, with this message, you're referring to React router, right? To basically Remix. I haven't worked with Remix before. It has always been on the lists, but I feel like, I don't know, I just started TanStack earlier, even though it hasn't been, you know, on my it hasn't been on my list that long. Yes, React Router v7. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, as I mentioned, like so far, I do like, you know, or like so far, TanStack Start is, you know, starting to grow on me, and I'm getting it. Yeah, there were some weird things at the beginning, like in the last week's episode, but I got over that. So let me just run this. Just run this over here. Minimize this window. There we go. All right, so this is the application. I don't have anything right now. Oh, it broke. Yes, it did. Something about Supabase. Yeah, let's restart that. npx Supabase stop. Let's stop it first and restart it again, just in case. Docker should be running. Yep. All right, let's start it again. Nice. All right, npm run dev, and let's check this out again. There we go. So previous, let's sign in. conflazar.com, passwords. We're signing in. We should be taken. Now it's not working, right? What is this? Cannot send headers after they're sent to the client. This is Supabase. That's weird. It's funny how it worked and now it doesn't work, right? Let me just clear the. Let's see, what do we have here? Got these two, but I'm actually looking for the cookies. This one right here. So I'm just gonna clear everything and start again. All right. There we go. Okay, so probably a stale cookie or whatever, which is something that we need to fix, by the way. It can happen in the wild. Yeah, for now, this is the game, right? We have all of the trivia games, as we mentioned. Let's do like a quick refresher on, you know, the user flow. We sign in, we create a game, we populate some Q&As, and then we create a new, or we start a new session. And I already have that. For example, in the manage sessions, I can basically start the sessions, and this is not updating. I need to fix that. For example, session 6 is here. If I refresh, start manage sessions, there's the new one that we just created. But yeah, I can start a new session, click on the share button, and it'll give me like a, you know, it'll give me a link, so I can copy this one or just like share invite link if I'm on mobile, because this is like, there we go, you know, I can actually do that. And if I open this one, right now it doesn't exist, but this is where we're going to show the QR code, so the users can like scan it and join the game with their username and start playing. And yeah, this is also where the admins will change the questions. But that's basically it. Create a session, attendees join, we start the game, we trigger the questions manually on that play page, and we will show them conditionally if, you know, if we're logged in. And if that game belongs to us, we're going to create like a server function for that. We're going to show those, going to show those actions basically. Next question, start game, etc. Hey, Harsh, how's it going? Yeah, we already have some progress. But yeah, we're gonna calculate some points based on the answer window and then show the leaderboard at the end. So yeah, so far I am able to create new games, right? I don't know, Monday stream, January 27th, 2025, testing game creation. This is not a form. I need to refactor this. As I mentioned, like this was Cursor's doing, not mine. But it does work, right? There we go. Monday stream. So if I refresh, it's there. It's in Supabase. It's saved. I can go ahead and start a new session. This UI doesn't update, so I need to fix that. As you can see, it does update here. Like you can see it in the background, there's one session, but this component doesn't re-render. And I need to see why that's happening. There we go. If I just, close the model and reopen the model, that's when, we get the new session. But there's no logout. I need to implement logout. Deletion works as well. There's one, there's two, and that's it. There's no empty state. I guess, we don't care. It's an MVP. Just create a new trivia game. It's here. There we go. Start a new session, and that's it. So if we start a new session, we can end the session, which is not implemented yet. There's no way to delete the sessions right now. So I'm probably should make this like wider. Make this wider and have these be actions, like a stop button instead of a whole button end session. Maybe a trash can for the deletion, and then the share. So let's actually go with that. It's gonna be a very chill. Stream. By the way, I did fix the authentication issue, and I would like to show you that. So in TanStack Start, or TanStack Router, I should say, you have routes, and those routes are, let's start like this. TanStack Start or TanStack Router is a primarily client-side rendered application router, right? It's like classic React without having to, take the server in mind. So you can literally do just a CSR application with React, with TanStack Router, and you'll be happy. There's no server, right? It's like static JavaScript, serve it in a CDN. So it is CSR first, although it does offer the option to create this ssr.tsx, and this is the TanStack Start now, and wrap your router, like your TanStack router, and basically achieve the SSR and streaming capabilities of your client-side application, right? So it starts off like this. I'm just gonna put this here. I'm going to say, let's actually create a diagram. I want to create a sequence diagram where we have a client and a server. There's no service. There's no service. And no activation as well. And I'm gonna delete this one as well. There we go. Okay, so we have the client, which is like the browser, and we have the server, right? What happens is when the clients visit the page for the first time, let's actually do activate. Let's activate the server, deactivate server here, and in between we can say server to server, render TanStack app on the server, right? And then we say server to client, apps, HTML, JS, and CSS, right? We return that and then we deactivate the server. That's it. Then this is on the first go, right? From the browser, we visit the page, everything happens on the server. So all of the stuff that you see here, for example, let's go to the app.tsx. Before load happens on the server. Loader happens on the server. That means we don't have window.location, window. Whatever. We don't have window, right? We're on the server. So we're talking about everything happens on the server, but we basically use server APIs, right? We can use the database, we can use everything that we can on the server inside of these, like before load, the loader, and also middleware, but like client middleware, actually server middleware on the server, right? Then let's say that the client navigates to a different page, right? We are here. We click on get started, right? Nothing major is going on, but we do this basically. We sign in and we're shown this, right? This navigation is not, unlike Next.js, it's not going to do the same trip. It's not going to go to the server and, you know, render everything on the server and then send back the resource. I'm going to say resources here, okay? Hey Veli, how's it going? I'm going to say app resources, or the bundle, the initial bundle. After we navigate, right, I'm going to say client to client, navigate to a different page, or I'm going to say routes in this case, right? Pages are routes, but I want to keep the nomenclature to routes, right? So we're navigating to a different route, and what happens is the navigate to a different route. What happens in this case? Can I like have a note somewhere? Probably not. Okay. Yeah, we navigate to a different route, and what happens then is the before load and loader, these two, loader, get executed inside the browser. Now you don't really see this because of the, you know, because of the thingy, but yeah, before load and the loader get executed inside of the browser. Such a weird thing, but yeah, that means whatever we put inside, it's going to get, you know, initially it's going to get sent to the browser. This part right here, through the app resources, it's going to get sent to the browser and it's going to get executed to the browser. That means if you're directly using databases or Supabase or whatever inside, that's going to get leaked to the browser. We don't want that, right? TanStack router is an isomorphic router. That means it is built to be run or executed in both server and client environments. That means, I mean, that as a fact, as Tanner explained, that fact itself helped him make a lot of the decisions, you know, with the routing and, you know, for tree shaking and lazy loading, etc. Because we can have the same code get executed in multiple environments. But our responsibility is to make sure that we're not sending stuff to the browser that we don't want to be sent. You know, like API keys. You can't really, you know, it's going to throw an error if you try to use Supabase, at least the server client in the browser. So you're just going to get errors. But in order to work with this isomorphism, you need to be more aware of how you approach authentication. Because sometimes, for example, if I'm, check this out. Look at this now. If I refresh this page, right? I'm hitting refresh. Here's this page, app.tsx. These two are executed on the server, right? They're executed on the server, and that means I can use Supabase and stuff like that. But check out this page. In this case, if I go to sign in and actually sign in, actually close or like disable for now. Can I? I can't. Okay. If I sign in, I'm gonna go to this page, right? Those two are not executed. These two, the before load and loader, these are not executed on the server. They're actually executed on the client inside of the browser. So if I use Supabase directly, it's gonna throw an error, right? And I'm gonna refresh, and now these two are, just executed on the server. So depending on what it is, like how the user got to that page, it can be either on the server or on the client. That's what the isomorphism means. It can be executed on both environments. But in order to fetch the cookie, if you're in the client, you fetch it in one way, through the window. If you're on the server, you use it, you use like either a Vinci, I think so. I can show it to you. A Vinci API. Or maybe Supabase directly can. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, here's the before load, and this is inside of the root. And root is basically just the app documents, or the document in Next.js pages router, or like the main layout in Next.js. If you're comparing or using Next.js to explain things. The root is always at the top. This always get executed. This, as you can see, it like scaffolds the whole HTML. There's a head, there's the body, etc. So it always executes. But again, because we have a before load here, we can also have a loader here. This can also happen both in the client and the server. So that's why, in order to get the cookie, I need to check if I'm running on the browser or on the client side. If window is, in this case it's on the server, if window is undefined, that means we're on the server. There's no windows in server, right? In that case, the cookie is going to be, we're going to obtain this the cookie from this function, which I'll show you to you. Otherwise, we're going to obtain the cookie from this function. This is the server cookies, this is the client cookies. Either way, we're going to have a cookie. And once we have a cookie, I can just, rip out the base64. That's how it starts. Do like the base64 decoding here, parse the JSON, and that's how I can grab the access token. I can get the user, using the fetch user function, and then return the user if we have that cookie, right? And this is going to basically supplement all of the pages context with the user. So in whatever page we are, we're either going to have a user object inside of the context or not. If we don't have a user object, that means we're not signed in. If we have a user object, that's the user, right? And otherwise we return an undefined on the auth cookie, or like on the, you can say user is undefined. We'll see how we can handle this later on. But this is the main thing right here. And this is what you need to do in TanStack Start or TanStack Router with Start, is check where we are running right now. Are we running in the server or in the browser? And in order to avoid spilling code, like unintentionally spilling code to the browser, or leaking code, you need to do something like this. These are the two loaders, right? The client cookies and the server cookies. And as you can see, I'm doing a dynamic import here. Await import from the utilities, grab the client cookies module, and then, you know, return the result after you execute it, right? Otherwise, grab the server cookies module and then return the result. Dynamic imports are is basically, you can consider this as like lazy loading, right? Or code splitting. This allows us to do some code splitting so that we're not sending the server cookies implementation to the browser, right? These are going to get pulled in at runtime instead of at build time. And when the execution gets to this point and it gets inside of here, the server cookies module is going to get pulled in and injected into the running application, but not the browser one. And vice versa, if we're on the browser, we're not actually going to get the server code inside of the browser. So this is how I fixed that issue. I'm not sure if it's like the cleanest fix, to be honest, but it does work. I can persist the cookie. I can, regardless if I reach that point through client-side routing or soft navigation, or I did a hard navigation and everything got executed on the server. Either way, I have two functions that allow me to pull the cookie out, based on the environment. And of course, I can show you these utilities. Here's the client cookies. Really simple. There we go. Document.cookie.match. There's the regex. It incorporates the name that we pass, and then we do the code URI component on that match. That's it. That's how we pull the cookie by name from the browser. And this is how I do it on the server. So I'm using the parse cookies function from Vinci/HTTP. I'm just doing parse cookies. It will give me all of the cookies, and I'm just going to return the one that's, that we're looking for. That's it. So with these two functions, just close them. With these two functions and the dynamic import, wherever I am inside of the routing, the routing hierarchy, and regardless how I got there, whether through the SSR way or through the client-side way, I get a cookie. And then I can, use that cookie to get the user. And then I can return the user, and all of the pages that I have are going to either have a user or not. And that's how I can also do redirections, right? Like this, inside of the app.tsx, which is the /app page right here. This is basically the dashboard. And if we're not logged in, we can't let people go there, right? Because we use the user to pull all of the games. So if we don't have a user, we don't have games, right? Of course. And check this out. Inside of the before load and also the loader, we have the context. That's the router, the router gives this for us, to us. But I have the user object here, and it's also like typed. See, context dot, I have the user. And the user has ID, email, name, it has all of these things. That means the before loads on the root happened. It found out that there's a cookie. It used the appropriate function to obtain the cookie or extract the cookie based on the environment. It fetched the user as well, and I'm going to show you fetch user. It's actually a server function. The server function always gets executed on the server, so we're clear, with that. And it also added the user to the context, so I can do this basically. If there's no user, redirect to /signin, and the status code is going to be 307 basically, right? That means it's a temporary redirect. It's not like a permanent redirect. Otherwise, we return the user from the before load basically. And then there's the loader, which again, it has the context, it has the user, and I'm just calling the getGames server function. I pass in the user's ID, and I'm sure that it's not going to be undefined because I'm doing this redirection. If it's not defined, it's not, if there's no user, loader is not even going to get executed. So it is safe to use an exclamation mark right here. And then we just return the games, and that's how we can populate the games on this page, right? Here's an interesting question. Is TanStack Start going to replace, or can it replace Next.js? What's your thought on that? I think there's these are two different ways to build applications. And I think there's going to be like a use case where Next.js is more important than TanStack, depending on how Next.js evolves, of course. The idea is that the Next.js are banking a lot on the less JS on the client. So everything happens on the server. We crunch all of the HTML and data, and we're sending, I'm not going to say naked HTML, but we're sending something that is of HTML type to the client, and the client renders everything, right? And it's not necessarily sending JavaScript in order to display that same thing, that result on the page. It's already, pre-rendered for us. But in the case of TanStack Start or router, whatever it is, we're talking about is like the two. TanStack Start is like 95% TanStack router. Start, the 5% of Start has like the extra functionalities for server actions, for like middleware, the SSR streaming handler, and stuff like that. But it's like 95% TanStack router. That's what we're talking about. And TanStack router / Start doesn't, it's not, the Node.js philosophy is not like a core philosophy or even considered in this framework. Tanner said, I like to build fancy applications, and fancy applications require JavaScript. So I'm just going to ship JavaScript to the browser. It's fine, So the philosophies of these two frameworks are very, very, very different. And that's why, depending on the use case, both of them will be relevant for applications. Both of them will be relevant. In that syntax episode, which I can actually find, let me just try Tanner Lindsley without the D, syntax.fm. There we go. This is the one. I'm actually going to grab this link, post this in the chat. There we go. I watched this yesterday, and it tells you a lot about the framework itself. Tanner says, I don't care about Node.js. I like to build fancy application. That's why I need to, that's why I need to ship JavaScript to the browser, which is fine, right? And on the other hand, Scott was talking about how he tried to do a lot of, client-side heavy features in an Next.js application, and he found that to be almost impossible, he said. So I haven't tried that, but because Next.js works the way Next.js works, it might be harder to achieve some, some client-side stuff. So yeah, based on these two, I'm not an expert in TanStack, but based on that discussion that I heard, I think both of them will, they will remain relevant, both frameworks. But we'll see. We will see. All right, let's move on. Basically, yeah, that's how I achieve authentication. And of course, the fetch user, this is already a server function. So while we are on the server, it's just going to get executed like a plain function. It's already on the server. But if we're on the client, it will get transferred or like converted to an HTTP call that is being sent on that to that specific route, and it does that all under the hood. It's basically an RPC, right? It renders, it registers an endpoint that takes in some data, which identifies the function, It invokes the function, and then it returns back whatever we return from here, right? So fetch user in this case, whether we are on the client or the server, it's always going to be executed on the server because it's a server function, right? And that's basically the recommended approach when you're working with before loads or the loaders in TanStack Start. Have them, but don't use like libraries directly inside. Register server, create server functions and use server functions inside if you want to execute stuff on the server all the time. So that's the approach, right? That is the approach. Yeah, get games again, regardless of where it executes. Inside of the context, we have the user already, client or server, doesn't matter. We have the user. And what happens here is, if we're on the client, we're just gonna do an HTTP call to the server to invoke the getGames function. And the getGames function looks like this. It's a server function. There's a validator for typing and validation. And it's going to get the Supabase server client. We are in a server function, right? And it's just gonna do whatever it needs to do and return the results. That's it. And the results are these. These are the games. It's a new game, for example. And there's a third game, right? That's how, and if I refresh, doesn't matter. We execute these on the server. It's just a, this is just gonna be like a function call. It's not gonna be an HTTP call. But yeah, that's like how I understand TanStack now. And once you figured it out, or once you understand that aspect of the framework, I feel like it's gonna be smooth sailing from that point on. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Right now, what do I want to do? I'm just gonna see what's up with the changes. I'm gonna push Supabase mandatory start time. Did some stuff last night. I feel like this is all formatting. So yeah, I'm just gonna push these because it's just formatting. Yeah, I used cursor and now opened NeoVim, and NeoVim has a different formatting settings. And as you can see, all the single quotes are converted with double quotes. That's it. No. Just formatting. We don't need that. But yeah, let's proceed. We're gonna do a heavy refactoring at some point, because I don't like that I have a functions, a functions folder. Why? We can just move them to the routes themselves. They're not gonna get sent to the browser anyways. And when we say create a game, it happens here. So I think we're gonna start with that. Create game is used only in this page. So I'm just gonna move it. Right, here's create game. If I go to references, it's literally just inside of the app.tsx. So I'm just gonna grab this whole bit, go to app.tsx, and should we do I think we should do full stack components. So basically we have let's go here. We have, where is it? New game model, right? I feel like the new game model should be creating games. So I'm gonna go get inside here. There's no use client, use server in this case. I'm just gonna paste the create game here. So we're gonna create the server function right here. Also grab Z from Vinci. Grab the get Supabase. I'm gonna see about this. Get Supabase server client. I'm gonna see about this. Maybe I'm gonna need to lazy or like dynamically imports the get Supabase server client, but we'll see. We'll see. So far, I have moved create game here inside of the new game model. There's an onSubmit that I call here, but I'm not gonna do that right here. I'm actually gonna move, you know, the actual execution of the function here. I'm gonna delete this one, open app.tsx. Here's the game submit. It does basically this, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm gonna rip out this part right here, paste it here. I'm not gonna invoke. I'm not going to invoke that. There's a user that I need to bring in, and we can just, instead of, you know, on submit, it needs the user ID. It needs the router. That's easy. Router equals use router from TanStack router. There it is. There's a toast as well. The toast comes from Sonar or Zona, if we're talking in German. There's the new game. The game is basically, I need to just do title, description. That's the game. And then we have the user, which is obtained from the route context. And I can actually get this without needing, you know, without having to pass it. I can say route equals use routes, use match routes. Was it? Let me see. Okay. Route match. It's way too zoomed in. This is basically what I should do. I think I had this. Use route match. No. Let me see. There was the context. There was a way that you can access the context. Yeah, I guess that's the route matching thing. Yeah, I saw it somewhere. But basically we can say was the name use route contexts. Use route contexts. There it is. But it's a method on the route itself. Let's look at the hook. Yes, this hook is useful for accessing the current route context in a component. From this, okay, so I can basically just do this, yeah. Nice. All right, so let's actually try that. I'm gonna destructure here, and I'm gonna say use route contexts from app, because that's where we are. This puts dependency. This puts a dependency on this component, the new game model. It ties it to the application or to the app route. That means if we refactor it, we're gonna need to update it, right? So this couples the component and the route. But now I think I'm gonna be able to say, yeah, user, there we go. Now we have the user. I don't need this, and there are no errors anymore. There's not going to be on submit. And let's see. No errors, but it should just work. In this case, there's no submit, and I can just delete the on submit. And or do we have any more errors? We shouldn't have more errors. Yeah, there's just some leftover stuff. There we go. All right, let's try this. I think we should just have the same functionality, right? New game. This is gonna be the brand new game, right? Create. That's it. Oh, but right, yeah, the dialog is still open. If we wanted to close it, we're still going to need on created or something like that. But that's the full stack component, right? We have a new game model that basically does that for us, and we're working with server functions. We're not working with APIs. That means we are coupling the backend with the front end. It is a meta framework, right? We don't need in this case, it's like, you know, is it good that we're doing this? Well, I guess not, but you know, it's not that we have a different client or an API, a RESTful API that's going to be, you know, consumed by a different client. It's not going to happen. So yeah. This way, we're going to get rid of the functions folder, but I don't like that I have, you know, Supabase stuff. Let me see if we get any errors. No errors at all. Yep, no errors. I don't like that I have backend stuff inside of a component, so I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. Yeah, let me know what you think. Before I did this, before I moved the create game, I exposed an event to the app.tsx. That was like a dump component. It just showed and returned. I feel like that's better. But this component, the app component, which is the route itself, that handled all of the server communication. As you can see, this, you know, this is for deleting the game. This is for creating a new session. The create a new game was there as well. So we have a page and we have components. All the components were dumped. They just reported back to the page, and the page handled the communication. That's better, right? Feel like that's better. But having that, that's basically, I don't know, it started to create a God component that does pretty much everything, which is fine, right? It's like a functional component. It's not a dumb component. Looking at React's, you know, philosophy. So yeah, I'm actually gonna move that. I'm gonna move it. A component shouldn't do this basically. But let's figure out the. Still, let me know in the chat. What do you think is better, or like how do you work? Do you know, is it okay if we? Do you think it's okay if we bundle like backend functionality inside of a component like this, or not? We can get the user ID from the outside, so we're not tied to a specific route. Maybe that's gonna be better, but let me know. Let me know what you think. Is it okay if we have components like these, or should we move the functionality to the level of like the page level, and all of the components should just report events? Let me know. Right now, I think we should go with the latter. Have the page do all the communication. The components should just, you know, report events. If we do that though, we have a folder called functions. Does it make sense? Because like we're basically the folder structure, or like the project structure, is based on the type. We have routes, we have functions, we have components. There's the domain, driven or based structuring, where we have a page, and this page has a bunch of components, and those components, for example, new game model and the session manager, and all these components, basically they sit next to it, and also the functions sit next to it. Should we actually do that approach? That means we have components, but we don't treat them as reusable. We just use them on one page. There's one more thing, or like one more aspect that we should consider. I haven't tried that in TanStack. I don't like having these. These are not reusable. They're literally, used only on one place, at least for now. So let's try that. I'm not sure how, what's the tolerance of the router. So let's do some stuff. To build a route tree, TanStack router supports both the file-based routing and the code-based routing. File-based routing requires less code for the same or better results. For these reasons, file-based routing is the preferred and recommended way to configure TanStack router. Let's try a little experiment. I'm going to create a new folder here. It's going to be the app folder. Oh, that's not a folder. App folder, and I'm going to move app.tsx and rename this to index. If I go in, this should be just app. Should be just app, right? Okay, I'm gonna stop npm run dev. Generating routes. So if I refresh, we see the same folder. I mean the same component. That's good. If I have a component here, let's say I'm going to move the new game model inside of the app directory, and I'm just going to import it from dot, right? This is not a page. Oh yeah, I need to like fix all of these now. Components, UI dialog. Oh yeah. Components UI button. This should be like a leading thingy. There was the thing, but yeah, we're gonna refactor that. Okay, no issues so far. This is chill. This is not a page. This is not a component. It's not a route. Yeah, there we go. So I think it looks at it that it's a file. It expects a route, most likely. Yeah. Yeah, so this is where it fails. See, route3.gen.ts. That means new game model, it's a file, and this is file-based routing, and it tries to create a route out of it, but it can't, because we don't export a route. So let's see, there needs to be a way that we can mark a file and opt it out from, generating a route out of it. We can do the index thing. We can do even dots and $sign for dynamic segments. Ah, yeah, we can actually do underscore. You see that? So if that's the case, if I do underscore new game model, this is not going to be a route now. Looks like it's fine. No, it's not. No, it's not fine. Maybe it should be like an underscore components. It wasn't a file. It's need to be a folder, so I need to do slash, cut this out, and rename this to new game model. So these are like the local components now. npm run dev. Let's see. Nope. Again. Okay, so we can't have anything inside of the routes, right? Yeah, because these are layouts. And I did have a layout, I think. Was it a layout? No, this is a root route. Let's go to file-based routing. Pathless routes. Yeah, these are still routes. Even though they're like underscored, these are still routes. So underscore is not like an opt-out. These are layout routes and will not be used when matching its child routes against the URL path name. Well, that's what we did, right? This is a folder that matches the pattern treated as a route group, which prevents this folder to be included in the route's URL path. When using directories to organize your routes, the route suffix can be used to create a route file at the directory's path. For example, blog post routes, blog post route.tsx can be used at add the route file or the blog post route. Oh, okay. So instead of index, you can do .route. That's what you need. But that's what you should do. And that's why the leading slash, we got a little warning there. Okay, lazy can be used to code split components for routes as a component for the blog posts. Components. Okay. Already have this. Look at that. We can actually have, like, we can have some kind of a prefix if we wanted to to consider some files as routes. And check this out. If it starts with a tilde, it's a route. Post editor is not a route. Okay, I guess we can look into this. There we go. Route file ignore prefix. You see that? So that means we can use this to, do some underscores. Ignore directories to house related files. Yeah, there we go. Components. Okay, let's actually do that. I think we need to go to the app config ts, right? That was where we should be adding these. Oh no, this is a JSON actually. Where do we put this JSON? TSR config JSON. TanStack router. Look at that. TSR config JSON. Yo, that's interesting. Okay. It's definitely interesting. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna paste this block right here, and instead of this I'm just gonna like prefix it with a single underscore. Or maybe that's going to mess up the root, right? Let's keep it as like slash. And I don't think I have a source folder, so it's gonna be app/routes. And the route tree gen is not in source, it's in app. There we go. So the routes are inside here, but I'm going to do minus components to, you know, ignore this whole directory and treat this as a component instead of a route. So this should work now. Let's see, npm run dev. Let's see, Max asks, did you try the Arc browser? What's your opinion on it? I literally just deleted it. Yeah, but yeah, I tried it. I liked it. You know, it was fine, but I heard that they're discontinuing it, right? They're working on a new browser, and a lot of people started deleting Arc and moving out, you know, someplace else. I've used Brave, I think, for at least like 5 years, on and off, because I used Arc for a bit, but I still prefer Brave. I don't know. It's just, you know, it's faster, no ads. Definitely appreciate that, no tracking. So I'm gonna stick to Brave for now. All right, let's check this out. We might not need a leading slash here, but look at that. To Safari from Arc. Safari is fine, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Haven't been like, you know, heavily using it. Rename these to routes so that this does not have a leading slash like this. That's fine, that's fine. And inside of the components, we also have this error, but it's better if I just... Actually, it's fine now. Yeah. To me, the fact that it's closed source kind of blows it for all of them. Brave is open source, built-in ad blocking, that's all I need. Yeah. I also appreciate that YouTube ads do not work, you know, in Brave, so I don't spend time when I'm like looking and just watching YouTube videos. I don't have that at the start. It's like very hypocritical because my videos have ads in them, but you know, it saves a lot of time, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of hypocrisy. All right, so check this out. We have a component. I mean, we have a directory for the app routes. There's a route.tsx inside, and then there's minus components that houses all of the components that are, you know, seen only on that page, on that route. I kind of like this. This way we can even move the functions with the same approach. So we have one folder called routes, and we can basically group related files together. Routes and components and server functions as well. And this is really good if you ask me. So we're gonna do the same for functions. There's a new game model. How do we do this? We have the components. New game model. Let's actually move the rest. Confirm deletion. This is gonna remain here. This is going to remain here because it's just reusable. Are you sure you want to delete something? yes or no. This has nothing to do with the route, so I'm going to keep it here. There's a logout button. It's nothing right now, so we'll keep it here. Session manager is definitely something that should be moved. So I'm going to cut it out, move it over here. Session share model, again, I'm going to move it here. And the trivia game item is used as well. So this is the current state. Confirm deletion. I shouldn't have moved that. Yeah, I shouldn't have moved that. Also a bit of Safari header. What gets me is the integration with Apple's ecosystem, passkeys, password management. All right, yeah. DevTools are not as good. Yeah. All right, let's start refactoring. Errors here, no errors. Errors here. Beautiful, no errors. Here, there's a little... Oh, this is fine. It doesn't exist, so... It's perfectly fine. The error is going to go away when we actually create that page. But so far, no errors. This is going to be full of errors. So what we need to do is do this basically, right? Yeah. Convert this to a dot, add the minus to opt out. And that's it. Yeah. Look at that. Okay, so now we have components and they are... they can be full stack. And I guess I'm fine. Am I fine with that? These are not testable. So if you wanted to like do some testing, of course, they're not testable. But it doesn't mean that this logic should be inside. Like the server function can be created here because it is UI specific. If we're, you know, if we're starting or taking the clean architecture approach. Let's go back to clean architecture. If we're taking this approach, they are part of the presentation, right? Server actions are part of the presentation. We can skip controllers, we can have use cases to keep our logic, and we can have like services and repositories to, you know, refactor away Supabase, so we're not dealing with Supabase stuff in our logic and just keep plain logic. If we do that, that means we're easy, you know, we're free to just go ahead and, you know, write unit tests if we wanted to. We can split up the logic like that. And of course, yeah, this is going to be like a, yeah. But this will remain here. Okay, let's actually do that. I think it's going to be a fun experiment to try. I'm going to need to implement that. That plugin that like takes care of the imports for you and like reorders them. There's one more external. And yet another one. But yeah, okay, so far so good. This is a full stack component. It, you know, can use a little bit of a cleanup. But we can just say on close, right? Game created, and we can just say on close, and that's it. We don't really need to do anything. Okay, this was the create game close model. There it is. Full stack application. It you know, it defines its own UI. Of course, it's a full stack components. It defines its own UI. It defines its own server function. But like this part right here, the handler itself, I don't like it here. I will just rip this out, put it someplace else. So it's plain JavaScript when it comes to the logic itself. And I'm going to abstract away Supabase into a repository you know, just because it's a dependency, and you know, our application's logic should not depend on Supabase. What if we, you know, what if we change something? What if we replace it later on? We're gonna have to refactor the whole thing out. Okay, and yeah, and of course, for testing, if you want to test the plain logic, that means we don't need any Supabase stuff. It is going to complicate the project a little bit, but I just want to, I'm not in a hurry with this application. I just want to, you know, create that example of, you know, a TanStack application that has like use cases, which is just plain JavaScript when it comes to logic, and all the dependencies are abstracted away into services and repositories. Yeah, I'm actually, that's going to be pretty cool, and like keep it open source and people can look at the code. And yeah, all right, let's just move on. I'm gonna keep this here because that's like it's for another day. Let's get the session manager. Okay, this one has two functions: create a session and also what? Get game sessions. And there should be another one, stop session. So there's gonna be like 3 functions. Create session. I'm just gonna rip it out. Go back to the session manager. Actually, I'm gonna be putting these at the bottom. I hope that's fine. We'll see. What else is there? Supabase. Client, get this in. Return it. That's it. There's create session. And we should just now invoke it. I'm gonna delete this. Go back to route. And we don't have that anymore. Now when we say create session, this is what we want to invoke. This, basically. On new session is this. So I'm just gonna paste that code here. There's a user again. We need the toasts. And this is also an async function. The router is use router. And we also have the user that we need to get, and that was basically user equals use route contexts from /app. There we go, right? No issues here. We're still invoking the on new session. We're passing this session. This is going to be that session. It's not going to be a session insert. It's going to be an actual session because we are creating it. And we just need to, you know, reselect the game. But this is the thing that's not working so far. So we'll see. Maybe there's like a way to invalidate that, but we'll see. All right, so we have unused. So far, so good. It doesn't care that, you know, it's at the bottom, so that's good. Okay. I think this is going to be fine. No issues there. Let's just try it out, make sure that it's working. So we're talking about the session manager. And if I click start new session created, I have 2 sessions. If I click again, I have 3 sessions, so it is working. Oh, look at that. It works, but it's like a render before, you see? 13, but if I refresh, there's gonna be like a 14 one. There we go. Right? Start new session. There's already one in there, but if I create the second, we'll see the first. Yeah. It's called session 15. 15 and 16. These are not 15, 16. Oh, okay. These are 15 and 16, like in the whole database. Yeah. Sessions don't have names. We didn't define names, did we? Yeah, they have an ID. They have a game ID here. They don't have a name. They just have an ID. Okay. That's gonna be weird, but we'll figure it out. What's important is that Session Manager is now a full stack application and it works. It defines its own server function. So now basically the route itself is, is just going to be like a shell that puts some component somewhere, defines the layout, puts components there, but the components themselves, they invoke functionality. And if the functionality changes, of course, the place that we need to look at is the component itself. That's where it starts. Yeah. I guess this is fine, right? I don't know. If we're making a mistake, we're gonna learn a lot, because we're gonna be making that mistake ourselves. So there's a session manager. Start new session is already done. We have a stop session. So create session is done. Stop session. What else do we have? We have sessions from the outside. Session manager. We have sessions from the outside, and that is, we have get game sessions. Oh, they come from the selected game, and the selected game is here. Interesting. This is being set from the outside, but if we go to get game sessions and like try to look for, it's actually used in a different function, get games. Okay, so this is not like a globally used function, it's just used here. So it doesn't even need to be a, doesn't even need to be a server function. I'm just gonna delete this and replace it with this. It's literally just 2 blocks. And this is going to be sessions. There we go. The game ID is going to be the game GM probably. Game ID. And this is going to be slower. This is going to be slower, so I should probably we're not going to handle errors in this case. I should probably do this now. These two are going to be the promises. So this is going to be the game promise. It's going to be the session promise. and we're gonna do game and sessions await promise.all. We're gonna pass in the game promise and the sessions promise like so. But because these are returning data, we're gonna do data is game and data is sessions like this. Okay, so in this case, these two promises are gonna be invoked in the same time instead of one after the other. So it's going to be faster. Nice. And we return game and sessions, correct types. Oh, these are just any. Okay. Supabase does not have like any typings. Okay, doesn't matter. We should still be okay. Now this function is used inside of the route to get all the games. So we're getting the games and the sessions. There we go. We're getting the games and sessions on the loader, whether that's like on the client or the server. When we visit this page, we get the games and their sessions. That's fine. You know, it's part of the route data that we're looking for. We also might get, I mean, the games might also contain the questions and answers, but no, not on this page. When we click in the games, this page will grab only the single game and also the questions. There's an interesting question. I'm not sure whether this is a question for this stream or whether you've talked about this, but how is life on another continent like for you? It's cool. It's fine. It's definitely, you know, it's definitely different than back in North Macedonia. But there's like stuff that I like, stuff that I don't like. Of course, it's been, I can say, almost 2 years. It's been like yeah, 2 years without a couple of weeks, right? And took some time to get used to things. Not too much though, because you know the culture wasn't like, the cultural differences aren't as great as maybe some other cultures. So I appreciate that, you know, compared to Skopje, where I used to live, the air is cleaner. It's just like cleaner in general. I appreciate the like places that I can visit, and you know, there's, I mean, you can compare Canada with North Macedonia. Like the size of the country is, you know, insane. So of course there are a lot more places to visit. Not that there are no places in Macedonia. Actually, there are like beautiful places. But yeah, it's just different. You know, it's just different. Uh, One thing that you should watch out is like the food. On general, there's like a bit more sugar in the food, so like keep an eye keep an eye on the amount of sugar you're taking in coming from North Macedonia. It's, you know, our food is not that sugary on general, so like bread is one thing that can really, you know, make you put on a few kilos. So you should definitely watch out for that. But other than that, yeah, it's fine. It's just different, you know. It's, some things are better, some things are not so better. You know, just because I live in Toronto, so there's like 6-7 million people living, you know, in the greater Toronto area. That's a lot, and that amount of people can easily cause, you know, wait times. So on, you know, in general, if you're waiting in line, you're gonna wait. Like if you want to go to an event, there's already a line and people are waiting for like 2 hours. I was waiting for 2 hours for an event, and I'm not sure it was worth it, to be honest. So yeah, there's like pros and cons in everything. There's like pros and cons, but yeah, better opportunities. Yeah, cons, bread, waiting times. Yeah, bread as in like not like the bread itself. You just need to figure out what foods you should avoid, because when I moved here 2 years ago, I noticed myself starting to gain weight, and it was like it was noticeable. So yeah, I would, if I moved again, I would like pay attention to that. Maybe your metabolism is, super fast, and you're not gonna gain any weight, but yeah, you do you. That's like what What I'm noticing is, I moved here. I started to gain weight a lot. I started to read the labels. Turns out there's like sugar and everything. So I was like, okay, I need to be more mindful, and to like just pay attention more to the things that I buy. Yeah. Where are you from, by the way? Based on the username, you should be somewhere on the Balkans. Right. Let's continue. We got 30 more minutes. 30 something. Slovenia. Okay, well, it's definitely, it's definitely different. If you compare Slovenia to North Macedonia, it is definitely different. I think Slovenia is like way more European than Macedonia. Right, get games. This is a function that is being used in the page. So I'm just gonna rip it out, move it to the page itself, put it there at the bottom, and that's about it. So we are going to bundle. We're gonna bundle everything when it comes to server functions and components and whatnot. All right. Playing with the idea. I've been working with the US for a while, and will visit for the third time soon, and have always liked it there. What you said checks out though. Yeah. There's one thing, like I want to visit US, and I thought that I was gonna be able to get a US visitor's visa here. So I waited after I move instead of doing the whole visa thing in Skopje, and that was a mistake, because the wait time is not 2 hours for a visitor's visa. It's more like 2 years. I gotta wait for 2 years to get an appointment, and I still haven't even booked it, because I was like, 2 years, it's not gonna happen. No. Okay, we'll start with this then. Let's select a game. Game or... Alright, yeah. Now, games in this case is either a game or a session. So I should just restructure this, right? Yeah. No visa required for entry. That's good. That's good. Okay, get games is out. Wait, there was one more error. Game is possibly null. Why did this change all of a sudden? We are returning the games here. There are the games. We have an array of objects that hold the game and the sessions. Now we say games.map. Oh, we lost the type. We actually lost that. These are any. The sessions are possibly null. That's the shit. Okay, okay, got it. This is basically the culprit. Games does not have any type here. So if I just get to these parts, we are returning a game and sessions object for every type. If I do this, now we don't need to worry about the sessions being null or undefined, because it's always going to be, hold on a second, it's always going to be like an empty array. So length is fine, but the types, and the types are weird. Can I actually do this? Not really. As a session array. What about now? Now we have the types. So I'm just gonna like destructure game and sessions here. Like this. There we go. Now game, we do have the type. Okay. All right, now we're good. Of course it does. Or undefined. Okay, in this case, it is undefined, and now we have a game. And this selected game. Oh, okay, okay, got it. So this was wrong. We need this basically, not just the game, but the game and the sessions. Some type mismatch, but now we fixed it. This is all good now, no issues at all. And we just did the get games. We have a delete game. As well, and this is being used where it's actually being used here because we only have a confirmed deletion. It's not a component. It's just that regular confirmed deletion reusable component. So in theory, delete game should be here. Ugh. So create game is not here, but delete game is somewhere else. That's not good. That's not good. I mean, it's not predictable, right? Let's say I don't know about this, and I'm gonna say that get game is here, create game is here, and delete game is, I guess, here as well. That is definitely not. That's definitely not good. Also, delete game should probably be in the game. Should probably be. It's gonna be easy if I rip this out, and you know move the deletion here. Yeah, there we go. Are you sure you want to close it? Cool. But what if we want to update it? That means we need to get into it. If we're getting into it, might as well move the deletion there and just like manage sessions on this screen right here. And have this, you know, I don't feel like deletion here does anything. We can get in there and delete it. Okay. Just gonna move or just like get the deleting game out. Where's the deletion? Out, out, out. There we go. We don't even need a router now. Don't need this as well. And don't we need this as well. So the trivia game item is not going to have a way to delete. The game is just gonna have the manage session and that's it. There we go. These are the games. We can manage the sessions on each of them. We can also do that. Like inside of the game details, like this page right here. But it's fine if we have it here. You know, we're gonna figure this out. I don't have a designer on this one, on this project, so of course we're gonna be refactoring a lot. Okay, so delete. Look at this now. Look how many unused imports we have. We just cleared a lot of the stuff. What else is next? Fetch user, that's being used. These are like global functions now. Fetch user is being used inside of the root here. There's fetch user. And I think this is the only place that we're using it. Let's see. Root, oh, there's also delete game. Server function. Right, yeah. This should have a context. Do we have a .user or something? No. Thing is, the API allows us to send the user to the server functions. There's like a middleware. Client middleware. Yes, middlewares. And we can, from the client side, we can send some of the contexts, like the user, for example. Right? So that when we invoke the delete game, we won't need to, invoke fetch user. It's already going to be inside of the contexts. That's what I'm saying. So we should probably do that. We should probably do that. Middleware that uses the server method executes in the same context as the server functions. So you can follow the exact same server function context utilities and modify anything about the request header, status codes, etc. Can add the headers and stuff. There's a global middleware. Which we can pass. It's not going to be typed, but we can consider that it's going to be there. Now, question: we can take the global middleware route so that we provide the user to all of the server functions. Detached from server functions. So this means that if a global middleware supplies additional context to a server function or other server function specific middleware, the types will not be automatically passed through the server function or other, yeah, of course. So basically, inside of the root, instead of doing this in the before load, we can actually do it in a global middleware. Gabriel, how's it going? I see something new, but what? You're referring to the major refactoring I did on my face? I guess you're referring to that. Yeah, I decided to cut out the hair, the beard. I spent my 20s with a long beard and long hair. I'm gonna spend my 30s the opposite way, right? All right, let's get this out. This is going to be different though. This is going to be different. We have getting the cookies, and we have getting cookies on the server and the clients. If we define a server middleware, that means it's going to execute on the server. So we're not going to be needing that, but we do need to provide all of the routes with that context, with the user's context. So I know there are client middlewares as well. There's a client middleware is defined using the client method instead of a server. This method is used to define client-side logic that the middleware will execute both before and after any nested middleware, and ultimately the client-side RPC function or the server-side function if you're doing SSR or calling functions from another server function. It just gets executed on the client. Okay. Okay, so we should basically treat this sending client context to the server. Client context is not sent to the server by default, since this could end up unintentionally sending large payloads to the server. If you need to send client context to the server, you must call the next function with the send context property and object to transmit any data. Any properties passed to the send context will be merged, serialized, and sent to the server along with the data, and will be available in the normal context object of any nested middleware or the actual function itself. So if we say, where is it? If we create a middleware and say that we're going to be sending, we're going to be sending the user from the context, we can get here in the delete game and then just, obtain the user from the context without necessarily, explicitly sending that. But that means all of the server functions will receive the user object, right? Do we actually want that? This way we are getting the user through Supabase. Sometimes we have JWT, but sometimes we don't. If we're on the server, we can just skip this. Okay, I'm gonna keep it simple. And I'm just gonna say, if we need the user on the server, we'll just use the fetch user and that's it. If it's like slower and we can make it faster, we're gonna start looking into it then. But that's it. There we go. Again, these two can be done in parallel because they don't depend on each other. So we're just gonna do game exists, game GM exists, and we can just say const error game error. It's gonna be game exists. Actually, it's gonna be just the error, not the other way. And the other one is going to be the game GM delete error. Really bad name. Still, await promise.all, and we'll pass in game exists and also game GM exists. There we go. And now these two are going to be in parallel. So we're not going to we don't need to wait for the two databases. We need to await this, Okay, a little improvement there. And this is just okay. Okay, we're gonna keep this. We're gonna move the game, delete game after. But so far, we have components that create their own server functions. They invoke their own server functions, and they let the page know, you know, if it needs to react. The page does do the get games here, but that's fine because get games is what's providing the page data, right? That is the loader, so that's fine if it stays there. And do we have anything else? Nope. Stop session. Session is going to be handled inside. So I'm probably just gonna do this. Yeah. Okay. It's looking good. I'm going to push this. New routing rules plus full stack components. Let's call them like Kenzie Dodds called them in Remix full stack components, where a component is defining its own server function. Full stack components, Kenzie Dodds. This is the, no, not the talk, the actual, yeah, the actual. I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this with you if you wanted to check it out. But yeah, he's talking it through the lens of Remix, but in this case, I feel like it's very, it is like very similar, right? There's an action. There's a loader. He also does, you know, fetches the data, displays the data, and, you know, performs mutations all within the same component. That's like the thing that he's describing in this article. Yeah, so since we have server actions, yeah, check it out. Collocate my UI and backend code with more than just full page routes, but also individual components. Loving working with components this way because it means I can keep all my complexity in one place and drastically reduce the amount of indirection involved in creating complex components. There's a lack of debounds. Most of the time I've built components like this, I had to add a debounds, so don't send a request as soon as the user types. Okay, that's, you know, it's for inputs. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's the, you know, that's my approach here with these components. These are basically like full stack components. These are going to be like dumb UI components, and that's why they're in app. They're going to be reusable. They're going to be dumb components. They might take in some data, they handle user interactions, and they report back. But these components that are collocated next to the route itself, they are going to be basically full stack components. Let's see if we're gonna make a mistake this way. Okay, this is the landing page. These two are sign in and sign up. I'm gonna keep them here. They're using an auth.tsx component that is basically the same UI, email and password. It just changes if you want to sign up or sign in, you know, depending on the action. These can actually be collocated as well. So we have 3 files, right? We have 3 files, and I can use a group. So I'm going to create auth like this, a group, grab these 2, cut them and move them to auth, and then we're going to have this part right here, and it's going to be prefixed with a minus, so it's not a route. This should have been like this. And of course, there's auth. I should just copy this and replace this. And these should be happy now. So with this group with the parentheses here, we're not actually registering a route, we're just grouping routes. And with the minus, we just say this is a component, this is not a route. Theoretically, npm run dev should not produce any errors. So far it's okay, so far it's happy. If I reload, we got this. I go to the index or the landing page, no errors. If I get started, here we are. Again, no errors. If I click on sign up, again, no errors. So this is the auth component. You see, it's like just literally changing some stuff, but it's pretty much the same. I feel like, let's see, grouping auth routes. I'm gonna push this. And inside here we have this. I'm just gonna say bg muted. Oh, it's not that one actually. Damn it. Should be here. Yeah. One over here and one over here. See, these should have like a layout. And if we do have a layout, a shared one, we can break these. These are the mutations. We're gonna basically just use auth with a mutation, and that's it. That's what the page is going to be. So let's actually do that. If I go to sign in, we can see there we go. The background is now darker, and it's just like a better contrast. But let me check out real quick. We don't have much time looking at the clock, but let me check the layout. The layout was underscore, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna look at the layout components. Where's the layout? Pathless. Wrap child routes. Okay, so I can say underscore layout like this, and then I can say dot sign in, sign out, right? Let's actually do that. Underscore layout.tsx, and this is immediately created as like a. I like this. This isn't. I haven't seen a router or like a framework do this. I just created the file and immediately populated it with, with this thing. So that's cool. That's cool. Layout component. There's an outlet that we need to pull in. There's the outlet. And now I'm gonna do basically this. I'm gonna grab these two divs, close them, and I'm gonna put the outlet inside. There we go, right? And now we only have an auth component with a mutation for the page, but that's it. So I'm gonna save this, and I'm going to prefix these with underscore layout dots so that they use the actual layout. Okay? Oh, come on. I'm gonna stop this npm run dev again. I think it needs to generate new routes. There we go. So it changes these. See? Like, how cool is that? It changed this, changed this. The layout remains the same. Instead of sign in though, I do need to remove these two divs because we already moved them as part of the layout. So right now we have a server function for the sign in, we have a mutation, right, that registers this on the, it's like a mutation on the client side. There's the function, and we also have a success. So basically, the use mutation hook allows us to use a server function and have like a success, failure, react to, you know, to the results on the server function. So that's pretty cool. There's the mutate. This is how we use it. Okay, should be good now. If I go, oh, see about that. There we go. I'm gonna go to the home page, get started. This, yeah, I probably copied over the other layout, so this one is missing the BG. Muted. But there it is. Muted, sign in and sign up. Both of them have the muted background because it's part of the layout. The URL didn't change because it's prefixed with an underscore. That means it's a layout route. It doesn't affect the actual path of the route. It's a pathless route. So I can say hello at nikoloflazar.com, and there we go. Now we're in the app. So, right? Pretty cool. I think we're gonna be doing the same type of thing inside of the app as well for this route, because this route, as you can see, it defines the navigation bar and there's a main at the top. This should be a layout, because once we navigate to the game details page, we're gonna need to keep the same layout at the top, right? We're gonna need the logout button, the navigation. If we add more stuff to it, we need, this is the dashboard, right? The main, the index page of the dashboard. So wherever we go inside in the subroute, we should pretty much keep the same layout. So we're gonna do the same in this case as well. So layout.tsx, it's gonna generate that for us. Beautiful. Now I'm gonna grab these two pieces, and actually the main as well, right? Or maybe not the name. No, not the main. Should I grab the main? I'll grab the main. I'll grab the main. So I'm gonna replace that with this, close the main, and then close the div, the outer div. There's a logout button. I'll grab that. Bring in the outlet and put it inside of the main, like this, and then it needs the parentheses. There you go. And just like bring in the logout button. Right now it doesn't do anything, it's just there. Okay, so we have all of these things. That means we need a React fragment to contain everything. Now it's happy. No logout button needed, but I need to prefix this with an underscore layout. There we go. So npm run dev. Oh, I guess it's the app layout. Ah. Well, then how do we do this? This was just auth layout, and this is sign up and sign in. This is a literal route. So along with the layout, technically they're gonna have the same, path, right? This is pathless. Oh, that's actually going to, right. So if I do dot, JavaScript developer, yo, how's it going? Right, so in this case, there's not gonna be a route. The route is, yeah, you see that? this is basically the index. This one, we can't have it like this, basically. So how do we achieve that? If we create a pathless, it's still like used to wrap child routes with additional components and logic without requiring a match path with a layout component, but these are child routes. Enforce a loader requirement before displaying any child routes. Validate and provide search parameters to child routes. The pathless route that wraps two child routes. Pathless TSX is used to wrap the child routes with a layout component. Look, it's all cool, but I need an actual index. Maybe index should be the case, but again, okay, maybe it should have been index and not a route, right? Should have been index. Okay, so there's a route.tsx convention, but it was in the file-based routing, route.tsx. See? When using directories to organize your routes, the route suffix can be used to create a route file at the directory's path. Blog post route or blog post route tsx can be used to define that route, which is, I guess, same as the index. Ending with the index token will be used to match the parent routes when the URL path name matches. This can be configured via the index token. Well, yeah, in this case, it was pretty much the same. As you can see, this one is a layout, so I'm just gonna rename this. Come on now. There we go. To layout component. So the layout is without a leading slash, but the page, the route itself, is with a leading slash. Let's make sure that that's the case here. Okay, so these are child routes, so we don't even, yeah, that doesn't apply here. But so far, npm run dev should work just fine, right? Yeah. There we go. So whatever we put as, whatever we put inside, we should just make sure that we prefix, we prefix that route. So this is the index. Then we have the game route, right? Let's see if we can achieve that. I have like a few minutes left, but let's see if we can achieve that with an actual directory. So I'm going to say underscore layout dots. Oh man, this is gonna be weird. I'm actually gonna do slash this time. Slash game slash $sign game ID dot tsx. Yes. I'm gonna save this, and I'm actually gonna grab the dynamic. Where is it? Path parameters. Yeah. Use parameters. Okay. Use parameters. Oh, it's on the route actually. It's not the global one. All right, let's check this out. This is gonna be an interesting experiment. So if I click here, will we keep the layout? Nope. Up games. Did I? Oh, it's actually game. Oh yeah, games. Also change these to games. Let's try that now. Actually, it works. You see that? Beautiful. So we prefixed everything with underscore layout, and we don't need to, we don't even need to define the layout anymore, because everything inside of underscore layout is inheriting the underscore layout.tsx. So this is going to be weird. Layout components, or like the pathless components, they start with an underscore, and we can define them as like this. And there's the actual page. But what if we have nested pages? We're going to have a folder with the underscore layout. So technically I can grab this, move it here, and remove the layout name from it. Hold on, there was like some also components should be inside there. There we go. Okay, npm run dev. This should work the same. There it is. See? Should work the same. There's like a leading slash, but that's because I'm using index now. If I convert this to routes, then we're not going to be needing the leading slash. There we go. If I npm run dev again, everything should be correct. Just not with a leading slash. Oh, no, actually we do need the index in this case. Okay. Index, and then also keep the... Maybe I should like try to remove it. Save this. Come on. There we go. It does add the leading slash. So it's gonna work now. Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure how I feel about this, to be honest. Like defining the layouts and sharing the layouts. There's a layout. There's, for example, first and foremost, there's an app, right? And then there's an underscore layout because I want that to be a shared layout. And then the actual page is here. So it's not directly inside of app. But then we have these other pages, there's like the games. I need the folders because I am, relying on the fact that I'm going to create folders like components. There's also like, there can be a folder called functions as well, if we want to rip out these server functions outside. But there's definitely going to be components. If I move these components to the app, that means these are still going to be the same, one folder for all of the components inside of the whole application. So I'm going to need folders, but I don't like that I need to prefix this layout thingy. I can't say that at this level, at the level of app, there's a layout, and I don't need, and like that layout should be applied to any page. I really like that, in Next.js, for example. But yeah, this is how we have to deal with pathless component or routes. They have to be prefixed in order to be used. You can't just define it there and it's chill. No. Yeah, you have to prefix this with an actual the name of the layout. And we can keep these as like dot notations. But the components Nah, I don't know. I don't like that. Here's what we can do. We're gonna keep it like this. Okay, we have the index, which is the page on the app. Then we have the components that are used on this page. And then we have games. Inside of the games, we're going to have components as well, right? And this is going to be like the $sign game ID because we need it to be dynamic. But if we want it just a slash games, that's going to be the index. That's going to be the index.tsx. So yeah, there's going to be a bunch of components that are just located right next to the route that uses them, right? That's going to be the case. In this case, we might as well create a $sign game ID and then grab this and put it inside and rename this to index. So all of the routes will have an index.tsx. Okay? And that's going to be constant. If you see an index.tsx or maybe even like a route, I liked the routes thingy. Where was that? Index routes. Yeah, exactly. No child route is matched. There's like a slash post. Where is it? Dot index. And this was configurable. Pathless root group directories. Use the group as a way to organize group routes together regardless of their path. They're purely organizational, do not affect the route tree or component tree in any way. Yeah, it's fine. So like basically we can use these as groups but still rely on dot notation to define the routes. Virtual layout routes. A root index. Then there's a layout. Oh, but this is for the code. Yeah, you define the route and okay. No, that's not what we're after. Powerful concept that allows you to build a route tree programmatically using code that references real files in your project. Yeah, but why? You know, we do have the file-based routing, and I like it. It's also the code-based routing. Oh, so this is not the actual code base. It's like virtual. It's still file-based, but like you define routes. You define the routes like this. Mount the post directory. Okay, yo, this looks pretty powerful. Yeah, this looks pretty powerful. I'm gonna lie. Like you can actually do some crazy stuff here. All right. This is fine. Game ID is here. We have some components here. There's no index route for this. There's an index route for this. So as like a rule, we can say we're only using index routes. Aside from this case, because it's pretty simple, we don't have to. It's not gonna grow, so we can keep it like this. But yeah, in this case, index routes all the way so that we can have these we can have like directories for each of the, you know, the full stack components that are going to be used here. And if we're going with the full stack components, that pretty much dictates that we're going to need directory based routing. If we need directory based routing, then we might as well say all of the pages are going to be index.tsx. That's going to be the rule, right? And the dash components folder that sits next to the index.tsx contains all of the full stack components that are used on that route, on that page. And that's it. You know, we can have like underscore layouts, and we can keep having these layout components as well, I think, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you can have nested layout components. So far, I don't see the need to check that, so we're gonna keep it like that. There we go. Everything is working. I'm just gonna say like manage, start a new session. There's one session over there. There's the session. Create a new game. It is created. Okay. So far so good. I'm just gonna push this. And what is this? Basically, yeah. Changed routing. Just change routing. So we did change the routing. All right. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty much it for today's stream. I'm starting to like this. Honestly, I'm not super sure about the. I'm not super sure about like the layout and how we can reuse the layout, and the fact that I need to have everything nested inside of an underscore layout folder. It is starting to get complex. Well, you know what? If we can figure it out down the road, we can change it up. So right now, we're just gonna have to, you know, accept that this is gonna be the way that we're gonna be handling routing. But all right, thank you all for watching. I'm not gonna do a stream on Wednesday because I got some things that I need to do. I'm gonna be out all day. So the next stream is unfortunately gonna be next Monday, within a week. I'm gonna do some coding in between, whenever I have time. So on Monday, we can continue working on this, but I'm going to update you all on anything that I've done in the meantime. All right, so take care, have a great week ahead, and I'm gonna see you all on Monday. Bye bye.